Hi, this is Anne and welcome to my channel BB3AV, and today I'd like to talk to you about my book Disappointments of 2016. It's going to be 5 books which I have read on recommendation from other people or because they were just highly talked on the booktube. I decided to investigate further and I have been left cold, feeling nothing towards those books. Could be 5 books. I don't have a physical copy of any of them. I had 2 physical copies and I have gotten rid of them since because I don't want to have them in my house. The first book is the only Russian book on the list, and that's Compromise by Sergey Dovlaton. I've talked more about this book in my November update, and I know it is highly loved by Russian people, but I just didn't really feel much towards it and I gave it 2 stars. Another book which really left me bewildered and I just did not understand why it was so highly praised was The Eligible, a modern retelling of Pride and Prejudice by Curtis Sittenfeld. I just honestly, I couldn't even finish this book. I do like Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. I have read it several times. Don't really think it's the best book ever written, even by Jane Austen. It's not my favorite Jane Austen. But this particular retelling, in my opinion, was pretty dreadful. I gave it also 2 stars. It's set in, I think it's in Philadelphia, and the girl is a journalist and she comes back home to see her parents because she doesn't really have a job, and she falls in love with this surgeon from the West Coast, from Los Angeles. She doesn't really know much about him. Typical la-di-la-di-blah, same stories in Pride and Prejudice, but I didn't like the language. Didn't like the setting. I don't think she really was witty in the way she was writing. You have to be pretty witty if you would like to replicate Jane Austen. So I was left pretty cold. I think I've read about 35-40% of the book on my Kindle. I have this one on my Kindle and I just decided that's not for me. And I'd rather not waste my time and I can read something else I would enjoy. Interestingly enough, this book is part of the Austen project, and that's Austen project number 4. I seriously now have doubts about this whole project. I might look into it more next year, but pretty certain I will not. So yeah, eligible by the modern retelling of Pride and Prejudice. The third book was the long-awaited Ian McEwan book, The Night Chalice. It's 200-page retelling of Hamlet from the perspective of the fetus growing inside his mother. I've read it twice, once straight after the other, and I have also listened to the BBC Radio 4 version of the book in the Book of the Week, because I was really uncertain whether or not it was quite good and brilliant, and maybe I just didn't get the idea of it, and maybe I just didn't like it. I ended up giving it 2 stars, and it is my disappointment. I just don't think it's realistic enough. If you want to write about magical realism, write about magical realism, but this particular one, the fetus has a vocabulary of a literature professor, someone who is highly read, highly versed in history, highly versed in philosophy. He relates to Ulysses pretty much on page 28, and I was like, whoa, that's for a fetus, for a growing fetus. And the only justification you get in the book about this level of knowledge is that his mother truly listens to podcasts and the radio all the time. And I'm sorry, from what I could get from this book is his mother was an alcoholic, just constantly getting drunk on wine, sunbathing. She doesn't strike me as an intellectual woman who would actually listen to a decent podcast. And even if she was, he is a growing fetus. His brain is still developing. He had no personal experience to judge upon, to relate to anything. That for me was quite a pivotal thing. If I can't relate at all to the protagonist, to the voice of the story, I can't believe anything else he said. I do like unreliable narrators, but this particular voice just left me puzzled. All I really wanted out of the book is for his mother and his uncle to be charged for crime they committed, which does happen very towards the end of the book, but it still doesn't feel cathartic. It just feels like, oh yeah, they got arrested. That's the end. So I don't know. Not the best book by Ian McEwan in my opinion. The fourth book from the list is Miniaturist by Jessie Burton. Everyone was raving about this book last year and the year before, like her best debut, how amazing that book is, and I just felt, bleh. Again, I don't understand the motivation behind what characters do. The idea of Miniaturist was not fully explained. The events in the book were not fully explained. The character was not fully developed. The setting was very claustrophobic. The language used in the book was too modern for my liking. Again, the girl who's the protagonist in the book is just too uneducated and too young to express her feelings in the way she's expressing them. It just did not bear any historical relevance. It's just, I could not understand why everyone was praising this book. It's not a horrible book, particularly for a debut novel. It's not bad, but it's not amazing. So I gave it 2 stars, and I was quite reticent about picking up the second novel by the same author, by Jessie Burton. And I have to say, the second novel I found pretty incredible. But the general opinion is that The Miniaturist is better than The Muses. Well, I liked her second novel way more. I'm going to talk about that novel when I talk about the best books I have read this year. I don't know. It wasn't for me. I had the paper version of Miniaturist, and I have since given it to a charity shop. Finally, the last book on the list is Room by Emma Donoghue. The book published in 2010. It was shortlisted for the Booker Prize that year. It has been longlisted for the, back then, the Orange Prize, now the Bailey's Prize for the female writers. And last year it was obviously turned into Hollywood film, and Brie Larson won the Best Actress, Oscar for the Best Actress for that film. So I had very high expectations. I thought, okay, so it's been shortlisted for 2 really nice, two very respectful literary awards, which I do genuinely follow. It has been turned into a really good movie. I have not seen the movie. I tend to read the book first. So I decided to read The Room finally, and I took it with me on holidays when I went to Norway. So I actually read the book in a really nice setting, and at the same time I decided to read it in a tent just to feel the claustrophobic feeling. I like the part of the book which is set in the actual set room. I really don't like the follow-up, or what happens after the escape. I don't think the psychological aspect was that well described in the follow-up. So it's a book of 2 halves. I do like the narration from the child's point of view. I do like the way she played with the child's voice. I do like the way she tried to describe the daily grind of the life in the room. But I don't know. It's really well conceived. It's a really good idea. I can see how you can take this book and turn it into a movie. But as the work of fiction itself, it left me dangling. So I gave that book 3 stars. But I'm not sure I would recommend that book. I had expected more. I wanted more from this book, so I was left disappointed. So yeah, those were the 5 books I have read in 2016 and felt a little bit cold about. The next video I'm gonna come back and talk about the 10 books which I really liked. Merry Christmas, guys. See you next video.